Hello, hello. It's Wednesday again. It's a first or a third Wednesday of some month. So, July the 17th, 2025. I hope everyone is doing well. And yes, if someone can just post that I am audible and visible and everything seems fine, that shall be great. I'm going to start with the weather report. And this is where we are. All right, let's go. Let's go here. So we're in this area over here. And let's see. There is rain coming, but it's not much. So I don't think we're going to have any power outages. But if we do, you know the drill. Wait for a bit. And yeah, if I don't appear, then you can watch the recording with many apologies. So that's all we have for the weather report. Maybe we need to do something where I can stand in front of this map and show you with my hands, you know, what they do. Yeah, maybe we should have a weather report every time. Okay, so very quick start here. Let's make sure that before you ask a question, please preface it with capitalized questions so I can distinguish it from general comments. And what else? I'm going to do the housekeeping at the end. So we already have a question from the audience. Yes, and this is something that I'm not going to reply directly, but indirectly. So the question is, let me bring up comments and let's go here. Mgalbu, it can't make liquids work at real world scale, like filling a glass of water. Yes. So the way the system works, you have, you know, if you're dealing with smaller objects, you will need to have to play around with certain things. In terms of the glass of water, it is, let's say, too small. So if you're doing a glass of any type, let's take a cylinder, and the cylinder, the glass would be around 5 centimeters in radius and let's say 15 in height. Okay. Now, the first thing you need to remember, what I'm going to do here is go and round this a bit, make it editable. Always turn on the line so I can see what's going on. Go to my polygons and do a loop selection by pressing U and L. Delete this, and then I can fill and delete this. So we have this glass, select everything, D for extrude, make sure create caps is on, and let's extrude this. So let's assume this is a glass we have here. Fantastic. It is going to tip over if we model a glass like this, but it doesn't matter. Now, just to get things in the right position, I like to go and change the axes to the bottom and set this to be on the floor. This is my OCD stuff going on. Now, you're going to have a great difficulty creating some water with this and expecting it to work properly. And the reason is that certain default values, which you need to change, it's not impossible. It's just going to make your lives more difficult. So I'm going to get this sphere, which I am going to have it selected and go and let's go to emitters and do a liquid fill emit. There you go. So now we're going to get, if I press play, I wait for a few seconds for the particles to appear because I just restarted my version. So now 40, and it just needs to do its little things. Oh, yeah, it's just one little particle, right? Look, there you go, just one particle. And the reason is the default, go to simulation settings, the default radius is 3 centimeters, right? So each particle is this big. That's how it is. This is a radius of the particle. And you can only fit one of these in this sphere. So the first thing you need to do is make sure in your settings that your particle radius is small enough. So let's go to 0.1, right? Default radius 0.1. Now we're going to get quite a few particles now. There you go. So we got a few particles, but we still need to play around with settings. First of all, let's go here and call this glass and make it a collider. Right click, simulation, make it a collider. And we need the voxel size. Now, Currently, it's percentage, which means it's going to sort of respect the size of the object. And then we're getting these sort of things where, because the default settings are more targeted towards simulations of a human scale, so of this magnitude, of this size, if I may say, we need to go and start playing around with neighborhood passes, with substeps, and stuff like that. My advice is to actually go and make this larger. So choose something like, let's say, 10 times larger scale. So let's remove the particles and remove this. Let's take everything into a new scene. I just want the settings to be default. And let's make this glass 10 times bigger, right? So I can go here and I can multiply everything by 10, multiply by 10, multiply by 10, and multiply by 10. There you go. So it's 10 times larger. I can make my sphere now 40, so 10 times larger. And what we're going to get now is a much better out-of-the-box simulation. So it may not be perfect, but it's going to be much better out of the box with much fewer particles sort of escaping the glass. There you go. So my advice is make things larger, and or when you make them very slow, if you make them very small, reduce gravity, play around with the settings. The system is sensitive to mathematical inaccuracies because it runs on the CPU. So the bigger things are, the more, let's say, zeros it's got to play with. And the other thing I want to show you, which was part of my housekeeping, is go and watch School of Motion's. Let me post it here. Latest video on School of Motion's YouTube channel, where my very good friend, colleague, and intellectual brother, EJ Hasselfratz, actually did a great job within just over half an hour, showing you some amazing things you can do with liquids. Of course, you can go to Cineversity and check out the liquid tutorials. So I've created a few of these videos so you can learn about the settings. But EJ made a great video, and it talks about various of these things. So go watch it. Excellent. I'm going to refer to this video at the end when I do my housekeeping again. But in any case, those are the general considerations and the things you need to take into account when you're doing small scale liquid simulations. Okay, so let me remove these. Let me go and see who else is here. So, rainy Poland. Yes. Rain is good. I mean, Canada has the most drinking water, fresh water of any country. So we know about rain and snow. Okay, good day from Belize. Great. Let's see. No. So here's a question. I'm trying to find my mouse. There it is. Let's go here. This is an interesting question. Kame. Is it possible to make liquid sim react to displacement added in Redshift? And the answer is no. Anything that happens within the simulation needs to happen within the Cinema 4D's object manager. So if you're going to add any displacement, it has to be done on the mesh. And yeah, that's just how things are, because Redshift displacement displaces it in memory just before the render, and Cinema 4D is agnostic. It doesn't know about that. Okay, let's see. Everyone loves vertex maps. I will maximize the screen. Yes, so I will. Boop. There you go. Yeah, it's raining. It's raining everywhere. Good. So let me go through some of the questions I prepared from the spreadsheet while you're posting your own stuff And you're very welcome, Sorab. Okay. There was one question I had which asked the following thing. Let me go and bring up my files here. So someone, let me find it. It's include, exclude, force. This should be it. There you go. So what do we have here? Let me turn all these things off. I have a cloner with a soft body on here, on this side. And I have another cloner with another soft body on this side. And this sort of simulates, let's say, pieces of paper or something like that. Now, what I have done is I removed the gravity, but if I restore the gravity, they're just going to fall. Okay. So the question was, how can I use two field forces, one only affecting these and the other one only affecting these? And the answer is fairly simple. So I have one field force here, which has a random field and linear field, and I've set it to absolute velocity. And I have another force field 2, let's name it. The same concept, I've just got it there to pull it out of the way. What you do, you go to your simulation tag, and in the forces, you only include that force. Or you exclude, put in exclude, and you exclude the forces you don't want it. And this way, one of these is going to affect one, and the other one is going to affect the other. And that's as simple as it gets. And you can do this with all sorts of different types of forces and so forth. So include, exclude, and you can only include whatever field force you wish to have affect these things. Now, a similar thing can be done when we are doing pyro simulations, and it's not exactly the same. That applies, and although that wasn't part of the question, just wanted to mention it. If I take a pyro emitter, you will see that we don't have anything in the pyro emitter that allows us to include, exclude forces. The include, exclude for pyro is in the simulation pyro settings, sorry, in the scene settings. So the forces that are going to be included need to be included in the specific simulation scene. So this is a good segue to to reply to another question, which was how can I multi-simulation scene interaction? So the question here was, we know that if we go to our simulation scene in the pyro, we have various settings. And we have buoyancy, we have all sorts of interesting things, shredding, turbulence, combustion, and so forth. But that applies to the whole simulation scene. What if we want to have, let's say, two explosions, but they have different, let's say, buoyancies or different or set of settings that we find here? But at the same time, we want them to interact, because the solution would be to use separate simulation scene settings. And the answer to this is the way to make them interact relies on the velocity field. That is what creates the interaction. The smoke won't mix. So if you have red smoke and blue smoke, you won't get sort of purple smoke when it mixes, because there are two simulations, and let's say the particle smoke won't it won't blend. But as far as the movement is concerned, the velocities is what makes these interact. So this one now is affecting this one. Look, it's sucking it in. So the smoke is not blending because we don't want them to interact, but the velocities are affecting the other simulation. So if you're wondering, okay, and what is this? How do you set it up? Let me very quickly go and show you the principle of setting this up. So I wanted a sphere and I selected a cube. That's interesting. Good. So sphere with a pyro emitter. Okay. And what I'm going to do, just to make it a bit more fun, I'm going to remove the gravity. And what I'm going to do to this, I'm going to make my pyro go in that direction over there. And the easiest way to do that is go to the velocity of the pyro emission tag. I want to set this to set absolute velocity. And I'm going to set it to Z because I want it to go that way, and set it to 1,000. So there you go. So now, although I don't have gravity buoyancy and all that, I'm actually shooting my emission in that direction. Okay, so first of all, I want to isolate this. I want this to become part of a custom simulation scene, because currently you will see if you go to your scene settings, here is what ties the particular tag to the default simulation scene. If you go and add a simulation scene here, so I'm going to call this 1, Pyro output object 1, and sphere 1. You do need to go to your simulation scene, and you need to go to your scene and drag the tag in the elements. And see, it created a new one because this one is tied to the other one. If I didn't want this one to appear, I had to go and link it up with this. So I can get rid of this one. So now we have a combination where this simulation scene 1, is applies the settings, the pyro settings, to pyro emitter, and returns all the data in here. And this should play as expected. There you go. So this is one simulation. Now let's go and do the secondary one. I'm going to grab, I'm going to grab everything, or I don't need to. I can create another simulation scene, create and name it simulation scene 2. I can grab pyro object. Let me just do copies and a sphere. I'm just going to make a copy down here. And I have sphere 2. And I'm going to name these. I'm going to name this 1. I'm going to name this 2. I just made a copy. I just need to make the connections now. The pyro output 2 needs to be connected to simulation 2. And the simulation 2 needs to have this 2 here. So now you can see the pattern. This one uses this, contains this tag. This simulation scene contains the other tag. And now we have these 2 simulations. They look identical, but they don't interact. What I'm going to do to the second one is make it point in the X direction. So I want it to point this way. And I'm going to move my sphere here. The reason I'm doing this is I want these to sort of cross paths. And you will see that they won't interact now. I'm going to change the color as well to a blue color, the smoke, just the density. So now you will see the blue smoke is going that way. But these do not interact with each other. They will just move in the directions as if the other one does not exist. So now I want to create some sort of effect where one affects the other. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's what we can do. So what do I need? What I want to do? I want to take the velocity of the pyro output 1. So I need the velocity grid. I'm going to turn the others off. I don't want to see them. So now I have the velocity grid. The reason I'm exposing it, I'm downloading it from the GPU, is because I want to use it. And where do I want to use it? Well, I want to use it in a field force. And I want this field force to only be affecting simulation scene 2. So here it has forces. I only want it here, and I don't want it in simulation scene 1. And this field force is going to read the data from this pyro output 1, and it's going to use it to add to velocity. Let's leave it at add to velocity and see what happens. What should happen now is that the pyro generated by sphere 2 should be affected because this is the simulation scene and it contains the field force. So the simulation 2 should be affected by the velocity of field 1. And you can see it's pushing it. So what we have here is that although these 2 simulations are independent of each other, we can create some sort of interaction just by using the velocity. because the velocity is what changes the motion of what's happening. It's the final product of all the various forces that exist. Now, what I'm going to try here, which I didn't try in my experiment, and it's one of those things I shouldn't do, but you know how I am. You know, if I shouldn't do it, I have to do it, right? So let's do something. I'm going to do this so our very good friend Dr. Sassy can have. Let me put some fire here just for the thumbnail, and just to remind you that our very good friend, colleague, and mentor, Dr. Sassy, is always does a great service to us, and he goes through all these videos and creates timestamps and gives comments and feedback and all that. So let me pose. Just want to pose here. Good. That's going to become the thumbnail. Fantastic. So what do I need to do now? I need to just bring this up again. Okay. Where were we? So what I'm going to try now is, so this is field force, which reads pyro output 1 and applies it to 2. I'm going to make a copy of this and make sure I don't confuse myself. I'm going to call this 1. Good. It's going to read the output of 2, not 1. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to drag here this. Good. It's going to read that. But I want this to be included in the simulation scene 1 and not in simulation scene 2. Okay. So unless, I don't know if this is going to work, but we may get some sort of weird feedback loop, but no. So we've created this mutual interaction. Now, to what extent this is physically correct, because there's a good chance that we are getting some sort of feedback loop and the velocities are feeding on each other. So the energy is being added to this. But you know something? I don't really care. Do you? That's fun. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save this. So let me quickly save this as multi-simulation scene interaction 02. And I'm going to do both ways. Fantastic. There you go. So this is how you make simulations interact, although they exist in separate simulation scene objects. Fantastic. So let's go through the comments and see what's going on here. Where were we? Yeah. Marginally better results M2. Is there anything being worked on? I have no idea. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. Lava and rock material. This is something, you know, it requires its own tutorial. We'll see what we will do. Greetings from Argentina. Greetings from Quebec. Likewise, let me add my head here while I'm going through these things. Okay. One sec. Yeah, there is a setup. There are a couple of ways to do this. I was thinking of making an actual tutorial about that. I want to see how my time goes. I have 2 setups that actually do that. Yeah. Can you, Sasha, have you sent, go to the online form, and since we're here talking about the online form, let me quickly paste the link for anyone that wants to ask a question. Remind me who you are, and I'm going to check this in the next couple of weeks. Let me just go. Where am I? Yeah, I've got too many windows. Right, there we go. So let me copy this and let me go and boop, 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 boom. I'm going to paste this. So if you go to this page here, you will find the link to the form. And if you put your email in, I'll see if I can send you one of those setups. Okay, so let's see where we are. Is it possible to offset animation after caching a particles group with VDB? I'm not sure. Well, my advice is if you want to read a VDB cache, go to the volume and use a volume loader. Try that. Use a volume loader because it allows you to offset, as you can see. So use a volume loader to load any cached grids. Yeah. Can we do that through the, oh my God, I've brain fogged. Let's see, let's go here, simulation and do Pyro emitter. And here in the cache, scene, and not the upres. Huh. Yeah, we can't offset it. Yeah, so the volume loader would be the solution to do that. It still loads the volumes properly. Anyhow, let's see. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Let's see. So you made some adjustments at global simulation settings. At that point, I want to make a simulation scene object from this current global settings. Is this possible? Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let's find out. So let's assume I have these simulation scene settings, and I want gravity to be -10, air density to be 2, simulation substeps to be 10, or something like that. Let's assume this is what I want to do. What can be the way to do it? Right, let's try something. My latest quick tip, the one that was published today, talks about how to use the preset system. So let's save this as a preset and name it test rest. Rest. Just rest, because it's good to rest sometimes and get some good sleep. Okay, so here it is, rest. So let's try this. Let's go and create a simulation scene setting. And let's go custom and, ooh, interesting. So it doesn't see it as the same type of object. Ah. Yes. Okay, so this is probably some sort of oversight. Yeah, I do not know then. The answer is I do not know. If any developers are watching or someone that knows, let me knows. Yes, I would have hoped or expected. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm afraid I do not have an answer for you, but we can check it out. Okay. Okay. Let me read my comments. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Okay. Let's see a question here. Would love to see how to simplify a mesh on an object. Been working with fields in a scene and it's crashing. I assume because the scene is too dense, the object, the car to the trader. Well, if it's crashing, post the crash report. But no, it shouldn't. I've worked the scenes with tens of millions of points and polygons. It wouldn't be the case. It's something else, and it's not too dense. Now, simplifying meshes, what I would just advise you to try is use things like the remesh. So put whatever your car is and use a remesh, and be patient to create a remeshed version of that. And even it's called, I always forget what it's called. It's called, where is it? Polygon reduction. Oh my Lord. Polygon reduction, these two. Give them a shot. But if it crashes, post a crash report with a file that you can reproduce it and any steps, because we need to know about these things. Okay. Let's see. Now, before I go, I'm marking where the comments are right now. I'm going to show you a few more things I wanted to show. And first of all, connect spline points. I'm going to show you a quick use of nodes. And I was working on this concept to show some simple use cases where you can, you know, do things that are useful. And one of these things is I have two objects here, two splines, and I want to I think someone requested this to do some sort of DNA strands and whatnot. And the question was, how do I connect the points of each spline? So if you take a spline and you go to the spline here, and you have uniform points, okay, these points here, how do I make some sort of node setup that connects those points to these points? And I mean, it's not terribly difficult. So let's go and do it. Maybe for anyone that wants to understand a bit more about nodes, the reason I'm showing this, which is kind of, one of the harder things to do, is that you can create fairly simple but very, very useful things. And an example, let me show you another example before that. So where is my simplify spline? So this is something I actually used. I did this because I had certain issues. So this is a spline I found from a project I did 10 years ago. And what it has some open splines. Now, you can see it's just two segments. And I wanted to sort of extrude this, right? So I wanted to extrude this. But under certain conditions, the extrusion fails. Look at that. Look at this. It's got holes. Some of them don't work. The whole of the Americas doesn't have a cap and so forth. And I realized the problem was that I've got these weird two-segment splines and various other things. So I thought, can I go and create a setup where I can read the number of points? This is the fixed version. All the caps are working. And the answer is yes, it's not even that complicated, right? I'm not going to show you this setup, or maybe I later on, but let's start with this one here. So let's go and recreate this so you can sort of get an idea of the thought process in order to create something like this. Excuse me. Sorry. So let's go and do this. I'm just going to grab these two here, paste them so I don't need to go and make a circle and a square. And I'm going to go with a nodes asset construction node spline. And I'm just going to make these children just to make it as simple as possible. And I need two inputs. So you go to your node spline, you right click and you say, add one child and add two children. Sorry about that. And then always the rule is, if you want to be able to move things in here and that the motion of that to be propagated in your graph, you need a transform geometry. So this, you make two of those, you connect this and the matrix, not the global matrix, if you want it to be correct, this and the matrix. There you go. So this is geometry 1, and this is spline 1 and spline 2. The next thing you need to do is points info. And the reason why am I doing points info and all that stuff, I want to read each point of the spline, the first spline, and each point from the second spline. And I want to create a spline segment that goes from point index 0 from this one to this one, point index 1 from this one to this one, point index 2, and so forth. Right? So I need to get the point positions. So get a points info. There are other ways to get this. You can do a CGO get. Geometry property get will give you points by definition, position. So it doesn't matter which one of the two you select. They're going to give you both the same thing. I can remove anything I don't want to see. This little technique where you just remove anything that is not necessary will make things appear much, much simpler. So here is the let's say, the programmatic approach now. I want to create a loop. If you know anything about coding, I want to loop through these, and I'm going to use an iterate collection. The iterate collection, a collection is an array or a dictionary and all that. Iterate collection will give you each and every one of the points, and it will give you the X, Y, and Z positions because we are reading positions, and the index of the point. And it's not directly the index of the point, it's just the index of the array, which happens to be the index of the point. Good. So this is going to give us a rapid succession of the positions of each point of object 1, which is the first object. And remember, this is subdivided in 8. Each 2 points will give us 8 points because we have a uniform of 8. Now, I want to go now for the first point of this to read the first point of this. We don't need another iterate collection. What we need is a get element. This is one of the things you are going to do if you're going to deal nodes 99% of the time. And all you have to do is get the index from here to here. So what we have here is first the position of the first point of the first object and the position of the first point of the second object. Then of the second point of the first object, of the second point of the second object. And it goes on and on. And I want to build a little straight line with a start and an end from this point to this point. So I'm going to just build an array. And this array is going to be an array of vectors. So element type is vector. So you go here. I need only 2, the start and the end. I'm just writing these. This is going to be the start. This is going to be the end. And this little array is going to generate a spline segment. So all I have to do is assemble spline. Drag the points in here. You don't need anything else. And your geometry is going to come out here. Turn it on. There you go. So what is this doing here? This is creating little mini arrays that contain 2 point positions. If you right click and you go to data inspector here. Oh, come on. I'm going to protest. It's here, but for some reason it's not showing up. There you go. So each array for each and every one of the points of this thingy-mandoodle, and the simplest way to see it, if I go and say off, so only 4 points for each. Boom, boom. 4 lines only. There you go. Come on. Come on. You can do this. Come on, someone. Fix it, please. Yeah, anyway, it's not working properly. But you get the point. We're creating a array is a thing that has multiple numbers separated by commas. You can imagine a spreadsheet line as some sort of array, providing everything in the line is the same thing. It's either numbers or it's text or it's something like that. Here we've got little vectors, X, Y, Z positions. So what the assembler spline is doing is each time this iterates, so this is iterating, each time this iterates, it goes and creates a little straight line. So from this point onwards, I can go and I can increase my points here, and I'm just going to get all these connected points. And the great thing about this is that now I can use it with anything I want. For example, let's go and do some DNA stuff. You can go and make a helix, and let's set it upwards. All right, there you go. There's one helix. And let's make another helix and rotate it. I don't know. The segments now are, there you go. So now we have a lot of these segments because the helices have a lot of subdivisions. And there you go. So height must be a height somewhere here. There's your DNA. And if for any reason you want the splines themselves to appear, not just the little segments, that's not a hard thing to do. You just need to do a connect object, and this connect object can read any arbitrary number of objects. And I'm just going to take one spline from here and the other spline from here, the ones that have been translated. And now you have the whole thing, and you did this. And the great thing is, you may spend a few hours to digest what a setup like this allows you to do. But you can use this technique to do all sorts of things that are not currently possible with built-in tools. And this is one of the things I really like about the node system. You don't need to go super duper. If you go and check out Dominic Rockley's YouTube channel and the shows we did with Dominic a few months ago and all that, the stuff he makes is unbelievable. And resembles a lot of the procedural stuff you can do in Houdini and geometry nodes and so forth. But for simple things to expand your tool set, in my view, it's a very, very effective tool. Now, I don't know how much you're interested, but I would spend another 3 minutes to show you how you would do something like this. Okay, so I'm just going to give you an overview of this. I'm reading a spline, so I did the child thing. Let me get rid of this. So you right click, you go and you say, bring in a child. Okay, so it's reading the spline, the original spline, which is the child of this. And I'm iterating collection again. But what am I iterating through? There's a node called explode spline segments. Each segment is a separate spline. So by exploding them, I can go and find this one, and then this one, and then this one, and this one. And you can actually see the indices of these if you select the spline and you select polygon indices. These numbers, the red ones, are the segment number. So this is segment number 2, right? The big one, the United States, is segment number, I don't know, 69, and it goes on and on. Okay, so each segment has a number. So let me go and turn this off, just in case you didn't know. And I'm going through these segments, and I'm getting the points info. So for each and every one of these splines, if I go to this spline and I do a select connected, you can see here we say points 572. This is the number of points that segment contains, also known as the count. So I'm taking each and every one of these point arrays and I'm getting the count. How many points does this segment contain? And I'm checking this number against any number I want. And what happens here with the append elements, I'm going to recreate a new spline. So I'm recreating. Why am I putting iterate collection here? I should put a, give me a second. I think I did something wrong here. Connect. I need a connect. There you go. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I must have mistyped it and was moving too fast. But what happens here, I'm creating a new complex spline by only including the spline segments whose point count is larger than 3. That's it. And when you turn this on, what you will see, and I've got this over here, 4, 5, you can see they're disappearing. Some of them are disappearing. Any of these segments that have less than 26 points have vanished. And that's how I simplified this, and I solved my problem. And you can simplify things. And again, the stuff you need to know in order to make these simple setups is not extremely large. So, and I think it's my personal opinion. that it's worth putting some effort in learning some of these higher level things in nodes, reading point numbers and so forth, because it will save you time down the line if you want to do simple. Imagine, so just go manually and try and find all sorts of, little stray little points and stuff like that. And you can do this with splines, and you can do this with meshes as well. Okie doke. Okay, where are we? I got carried away in my blab. Let's see. Okay, one sec. Let me go here. Hello, Jonathan. How to create rows of spheres from clones, but used as lights, and making color intensity of each row leading to another row, and so on, like pausing sweep. Why? You just animate the color in your cloner. Let's do this. Let's quickly get a sphere, make it 30, put it under a cloner. I'm going to make it linear just because linear was the request. There we go. And you're going to use whatever you want to use to change the color. So I'm going to use a plane effector in the fields color mode, and let's go here and create, I don't know, a random field. Just turn the color on. So I'm going to animate this. So let's assume these are the animated colors here. And let's put a Luca noise. And you can see now we have these things changing color. And what you need to do is get a material where you get your user data. So color user data, go grab it from MoGraph color, and you put it in your emission. So get the emission. Let's make this 2, and emission color, you put it here. And let's turn off this. And basically, these stop. There you go. So these now, I need to remove the reflection as well, but these are emissive materials. Now, if you want to do it with lights, you can do it with lights. And let me remember how we do it with lights. I think you just go and get your area light. I'm going to set it to be a sphere. I'm going to make it small. I'm going to drag it in here. I'm going to make my light visible. Blend, you need to turn blend object color on and make it visible. Visible light. It should be here. And where's my color? I should have color. Give me a sec. We're not getting 40 and 40 and 40. Oh, and I need to make the color black. What? Why is this not? Sorry about that. I was under the impression that blend object color will give me the colors. Okay. I'm a bit stuck here. I should get colors, because these are getting different colors, but I'm not getting the color. Okay. Why? I do not know. I do not know. Let's see. Is it something I need to do here? I don't know. Now I don't know what I'm doing. So it's just color, and let's go here and get the color and put it here and see if that is going to change. If that's going to change anything. I do not know. I'm stumped. I'm getting this. I'm not getting. Ugh. Yeah. Because I do remember this working, and it's either I forgot what I need to do. It has to do with a blend object color, something, something, and something with this, something, something. Oh, why is it 3% though? If anyone can explain to me what is going on here, I will be grateful. But yeah, well, here's your solution. I mean, these are lights. Uh, so blend, even a blend object color will bring in the MoGraph color. All right, I know that for certain. And why does it only work if we have a very small value? And what is that value? 0.1? I don't know. Anyway, just put in 1% and then just go make them really, really intense. And you will get your colored lights. So that's the answer with many questions attached to this answer. Okay, let's take a look at the chat. We need Noseman to look at the chat. Okay, let's go and look at the chat here. Ba-ba-da-ba. Let's see, where are we? Splines and node system, which is the intensity of the light should be 1. Okay, the intensity of the light should be 1. Okay, that is the answer. Why? Okay, I need to think about that when you have color, light color. Okay, so that 1% here was because I had 100 here. So now things are making sense, and thank you very much. The intensity to be 1 kind of makes sense. I mean, to be honest with you, because if you have a very bright light, the brighter the light becomes, there's certain, colored lights cannot be extremely bright. Those are some of the mystery things with lights. Anyhow, thank you very much. Yep. Too high, it turns white. Indeed. So the trick was, right, let's recap. We don't edit our videos here. We do not. This could become part of a blooper reel. Everyone's going to love it. So here's the concise answer. You treat them as normal clones. You blend object color, you turn it on, and you make sure that if you want faithful reproduction of the colors, to set your intensity to 1. And of course, you can go higher, but in terms of how they're going to look, you need to, turn your intensity to 1, and then everything else is going to be fine. So again, thank you very much for that. Great. It's funny. Everyone is screaming the stuff. Maybe I need to make a machine using Internet of Things, where when I don't know what I'm talking about, a 3D printed hand is going to come and slap me on the top of my head. How would you like that? You're going to go on a website and click on a button that says slap Noseman to wake him up. And I'm going to go like this and look at the chat, or some sort of noise, maybe a honk. I'm going, okay. And again, thank you so much for bringing me out of my, my brain coma. Okay. Let's see now. Where are we here? Where are we? Object. Okay, rows of lights. Okay. Proper way to UV a liquid mesh. You can't liquid it. You cannot UV a liquid mesh. You will use other methods of applying the materials, which are not going to be based on the mesh topology, but rather they're going to be in world, so noises and stuff like that, or based on the object axes. But UV, unless it's a still image, right? If it's a still image, you can do whatever you want. But if it's an animation, UVing doesn't make sense, or makes little sense for a mesh that changes polygons and points and all that. If you have a very specific example of what you want to do, contact through the form. Okay. Hey, Jess, what's up? Let's go. I'm just reading through. Yeah, how to work correctly with liquids and thin walled models. This is a tough one. Okay, we need to wait until Redshift has render time booleans, because that is the proper way of evaluating nested dielectrics with the least concerns about mesh issues. The best, I guess, the best you can do is use some sort of Boolean object and cut the mesh. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. There could be some ways of doing it. Nothing we can show on the show. Okay. Let's see. So let me quickly, I'm going to mark a question here and go back to the spreadsheet. And okay. Oh, I had this question from last week and I forgot to show it, it's going to be interesting for everyone. So camera morph. All right. So the question here is, what if I have two cameras? One is a normal camera. Let's say it's a, kind of like a wide angle lens. And the other one, let's assume the other one is orthographic, right? Orthographic. How can I blend from one to the other? Now, for anyone that doesn't know, you can have another camera. Let's call this blend cam. Let's view the world through this one. And actually, I'm going to make this perspective. And you can right click and go to your camera tags and add a camera morph. And you can morph one and you can morph the other. And you can use this to kind of morph between blend camera. It was blend camera. So this is my orthographic view. This is my wide angle, but you will see that this one does not blend between this and this. This is not orthographic. This would be the, this is the ortho camera, This will be the ortho camera. It uses the settings from the perspective. So the answer is you cannot blend between two different camera types. But what you can do is make it appear that a perspective camera is an orthographic camera. And you would ask, how do you do that? Well, you need to make sure that you have an extremely small focal length. So let's go and make this 1. And you'll see now that the camera is too close. We have to pull out, oops, where are we? Oh, not 1, I'm sorry. Need to make it huge to make it very zoomy. Yeah, I made it 1, which makes it a wide angle. So let me rephrase. You have to make it an extreme zoom lens. And then you have to move it back until you get the object where you want it to. Because if you leave it where it was, right, which was here, because it's a very tight lens, it will look at, it's like a microscope. There you go. So now I have this camera, which is 35, which is, sorry, a wide angle lens, 12 millimeters. And then you have this camera. Now, mind you, these artifacts, I think they have to do with your scene settings, scene, a display, medium, small, and stuff like that. Huge, large, yeah, something like that. It has to do with the view clipping. But now, because we have, this one looks orthographic. It's not, but no one can tell. It, as far as I'm concerned, it's indistinguishable from orthographic camera, because I don't think in the real world you have orthographic cameras. They're all, just very they're extreme telephoto cameras. But now these two I can blend. There you go. And if I turn these two off from the viewport, you will see that we go from wide angle to a telephoto, which is essentially an orthographic. So this is how you do it. You can't morph between an orthographic and a non-orthographic and a perspective camera, but you can imitate an orthographic by making it, just making the focal length extremely large. So there you go. That's the answer. Quickly, there was a question about Material Blender, which may interest some of you. All right. So the question was this: I have two materials. I have a color. I have two materials, and I have a material mixer. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to show you what the original ask was. So one material. So let me turn this on. So one material is this 16, which is basically a color material with an opacity, right? The other material is just a red color, okay, just a color. And the question is, can I use a material mixer to mix these two and get the 16 over the other thing? And you use a material blender connected to the output surface and two reference shaders, reference shader, reference where you reference a material or any of these outputs. And the answer is that what's going to happen here is that your material is going to inherit. If I put this underneath and put this on top, it's going to inherit the opacity properties from whatever any material that's there. So it's not going to work this way. If you want to blend these two to create a material that has a different material here and a different material here, what you need to do is put the mask component in this mixer material. So you would go here and remove this. You're going to get two opaque materials. One is going to be this. The other one is going to be this. And when you mix them, you're going to make sure that in your blend color in the material mixer, you add what you wanted to add to the opacity. And this way, you can mix as many different materials as you want. And this could be rock, and this can be grass, and this can be whatever you want. And this is how you would do it. And that's the answer to that question. Okay. Where are we? I do have one which is going to interest every single one of yous. All right, let's go and close everything. So close all. And then I'm going to go, what time is, oh, it's still 12. We'll manage. There we go. So let me show you, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to read the answers and see who gets it right. So I'm going to get the figure. Okay. Oh, maximize, please. Oh, I forget. Thank you very much. So we're trying to find a way to stream in 4K. Haven't found it yet. So let's assume we have a dense meshed object, right? I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to take this and put it under a volume builder and a volume mesher, right? And I'm going to go here and set this to 2, right? So this is my high-res model. So I can go and make it editable here. So this is my high-res model. So this is something you may have sculpted and, you know, in ZBrush and stuff like that. The question was, someone has a beautiful, look at this sculpt, right? I'm proud of myself. It's a beautiful piece of art. And we also have a low resolution version of that model, which for whatever intents and purposes, we want to animate the low resolution and drive the high resolution. Now, there is a way using the mesh deformer. What I didn't know is that the mesh deformer can read complex hierarchy. So I'm going to make my figure editable. And if you make the figure editable, you will realize it's made of a ton of stuff. And you can pose it and do all sorts of things. So watch what I'm going to do. So low res. I'm going to put this under a connect object because you all know the connect object, if you have a flat tire in the middle of the highway, what to do, put it under a connect object. Your television doesn't play, put it under a connect object. So I have the connect low res object. Go here and add a mesh deformer. There it is. Now in the mesh deformer, I'm going to make everything visible. And if you want to see the two meshes, I like to do this. And one is going to be red and the other one is going to be green, just so that you can see kind of where they overlap. There we go. And I'm going to turn this off. There you go. You can see the overlapping mesh. The mesh deformer, I'm going to use this connect, which is a complex hierarchy. I'm going to initialize. Okay, it's going to do its thing. Nice. It's going to make this kind of invisible and all that nice stuff. But it's going to also make it only show wireframe. And the wireframe gets the color I had. So it's really nice. Now, if I go and select any of these, I'll right click, no, the measure, let's go and select a foot or something like that. When I do this, you're going to see that it ain't looking good. Doesn't, oh, maybe I need to select something like that. There you go. Look at that. That's a bit of a mess, right? But if you go to the mesh and change this to surface, now what do we have here? We're actually animating the high resolution mesh using the low resolution thing. So what I'm going to do is select all these using middle click. I'm going to right click and add a vibrate tag, set it to rotation 15, 15, 15, increase the speed, go here and type num. So it's going to add various seeds, turn this off and watch this guy go crazy. Oh, it doesn't look good. No problem. Just make it a child. So this is a Greek, let's say, sirtaki on amphetamines. But the point is that you can use any low resolution object, even if it doesn't fully overlap. But yeah, something like that. You have too much ouzo, you may end up in this situation. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, the mesh deformer is much more powerful and versatile than I previously thought, and I wouldn't have known that it works with hierarchies have had one of you not asked the question in the form. So I thank you for that. Okay, now I'm going to go to the questions. Let's go. Let me find out where I was. Where was I? I wasn't here. I wasn't here. Let me go down. Oh, there we go. I don't know if I understand this. Is there a way to have a block in a linear cloner, randomize the size, but still have them touching? Not automatically. This is something we have to do using nodes. And again, this is something I may make a tutorial on. Okay. Let's see. How can I make particles move along a spline while orbiting around it at the same time? There are ways to do it. Let me show you a quick, let me think of a quick way of doing it. Let's get a circle, lay it on the ground. Let's get a spline emitter. So we emit particles on the spline, and I'm going to go and use a modifier. Follow spline. Okay, let's see what, and we need the spline. The target spline is the circle. Okay, and what else do I need? What else do I need here? I'm going to turn on my handles. I'm going to add a look modifier because I want the Z to point in the direction of travel, right? So if we go here and make these larger, you will see we should have all of them traveling, going in the direction of travel. When they're born, I'm just going to, so what I'm going to do here, just to make it appear a bit better, I'm going to make a shot of 1,000 particles, 100 particles. I'm just going to do 100 so we can observe their behavior. Okay, so we have the particles traveling. Okay, that is good. And what I'm going to do is, upon emission, now I'm not going to do it directly as you expect. I'm going to do it indirectly. Angular velocity, I want it to have a certain speed. Let's see. I want these to rotate. Spin vector axes. Let me just plus Z. So you can see they're rotating, right? Are they rotating? So let me make sure they're rotating. Are they rotating? I'm looking at that one. Oh, they rotate and they stop. Okay, what's going on here? Let me try something else. Oops. Haha. Right. Again, I didn't do it right, so it didn't matter. Let me think. So follow spline. I want to go force guide. There we go. So that's what I want to do. So I'm guiding them. Good. The other thing I want to do is I want a spin modifier. And I want to spin them. There you go. So you can see they're spinning. Okay. Now, you would assume that I would do something to these particles. I'm not. What I am going to do is create a cloner with a null and a sphere as a child of the null. I'm going to make this 1, and I'm going to make sure that my sphere is offset on one of the axes. And I'm going to tell the cloner to clone on the particles. And these should spin, right? Why aren't they spinning? They were spinning a second ago. Were they not? Oh, not the spread. Where's my spin? Spin. They were spinning, weren't they? Oh, there you go. And they're starting to spin. So if I turn off the particles now, these should be going around. I'm going to put a bit more speed here. So and you can see that they're spinning around. Now, there's something definitely wrong about what I'm doing here because I would assume it says velocity vector. There it is. But then it restarts and it doesn't rotate. There's something I'm misunderstanding. I'm definitely misunderstanding something about how this works. So I've always been confused about the way the spin works. And I've always come to the same conclusion where if I change something, they kind of spin and then it resets and they don't spin anymore. And that's because I haven't understood it properly. And it's a good reminder that I need to get down into my fundamentals again and maybe do a tutorial about this, because my interpretation of what I see here is that I want this to spin at a specific speed, so 360 per second. Um, but why are these slowing down as this goes? Oh, stop rewinding. And why are some going the other way around? That shouldn't happen. They need to continuously spin. I have done a setup where this is done programmatically using particles, but I thought I can just pull this off. In any case, this is an interesting sort of exercise. First of all, a kind of direction of how you can do something like that, where you're not spinning the particles per se, you are spinning the, let's say, the clone. In I think I may have done a tutorial. Right, let me very quickly. Um, Saurabh says spin is confusing in both simulations and quantum physics. Yeah, I know it's a slightly different spin. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Cineversity, and I think so. In my particles, so particles overview and particle setup. I did something. Is it orbit? It's not. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I shouldn't have wasted your time. There is a tutorial that shows you how to make, it uses nodes, but it does allow you to make things orbit around another particle. So I'm going to paste this in the chat. Instead of wasting your time online here, I could have just given you that link. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Where are we? Greetings from boiling Greece. How old were you in 1987, where we had 46 Celsius in the shade? I was in the army, and what we did was we used to take our bed sheet, go to the shower, get it all wet, wrap ourselves up with it, and then go to sleep. So natural air conditioning. So no complaining. Have you tried minus 25 or minus 30 Celsius? When you try that, you are going to appreciate 38 degrees Celsius. Okay. Let me see. What is this? Thompson X. Hello. Can you use an area light set to mesh? I do not know what the question is. If you can rephrase it, area light to mesh and plug the cloner. I don't know. Yeah, the light is too bright. Thank you very much. I'm reading them again now. How to create null and add objects from After Effects, images light based on motion graph. Do you want to add them in Cinema 4D, or do you want to export the null to After Effects? If you want to import things, you import them as a movie. And if you want to attach a movie, create a plane, make it 16 by 9, some sort of ratio, create a material. In the material, you create a texture. In the texture, you load your texture here, and you load your texture here. I don't have any images available. Maybe I can load something from here. Let's go quickly to media. Let's go textures. imagine this is some sort of movie. Just imagine. And if you go to animation, you can, if it has more than 1 frames, you will find the settings here. Attach it to the color or the emission if it's a TV thingy-madoodle, and you apply it here, and it will appear on your object, and then you use a null to do this. If you want to do the opposite, export 3D nulls with animation, you right-click and you go to render tags, and you add a Cineware tag, and you control what kind of, if it's going to be a solid, if it's going to be a null, and all that. If it's the anchor point going to be the center or the top left, top right, depending on how you work. So I don't know exactly what the question is. So yeah. Is it possible to render 2 objects with different AOV paths? You can use 2 different materials and 2 different AOV passes. So let's take this, select everything, inner extrude, and extrude. This is the best way to show AO. So let's see. 1 and 2. So 1 and 2. Let's create 2 materials. 1, put it here, double click, let's go here, AO. So we have AO, put it in the color, whatever. And I'm going to create a second material, 2, put it on 2. I'm going to make it kind of a different color so we can kind of see. I can use a, anyway, I'm just going to change the setting. So both of these should have AO. As you can see here, we have ambient occlusion, and let me just make sure I have no reflection, because it just makes things good. Nice. So I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to create a layer. I'm just going to do it because I want this multiply to look different, and I want this color to be sort of a reddish. There you go. So I've got AO on a red color and AO on a white color. It's simple. You just go and create 2 different AOVs, separate AOVs. So a new AOV, which is going to have this one. So let's go and add an AOV, store color to AOV. The beauty pass is this. So intercept it. And I'm going to call this new custom AOV 01. And I'm going to put AOV 0 in 01. So this is going to be my AOV. And I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I'm going to do AOV. So color to AOV, put the beauty. It's new 02. And put this one in 02. So we should have now in our AOV manager 2, 1 and 2. And if I go to my Redshift render view, I'm going to turn on play, turn this off, play, beauty 1 and 2. There you go. So you have 2 AOV passes. Just make 2 different AOVs. Hope that was the question. Okay. What time is it? A few more minutes. Okay. Let's go. Procedural liquid measure would be something. UV procedurals, great to see in the Cinema 4D. All right. What you can do, first of all, you can contact me on Twitter, and this is me, X, whatever you want to call it, no, at NosemanGR. And let's see, where were we? Oh, I've lost. UV procedurals, there we are. I would like to talk about this. So what exactly do you want the UV procedural to do, right? We can do quite a few things with UVs. We can use scene nodes, or we can use different stuff. What is your expectation? What do you usually do in other software which you feel that Cinema 4D doesn't have? Because yeah, we may be able to do something, but generally for changing, what I want to say here is that there is no way, and it's not Cinema 4D problem, you cannot handle for changing meshes unless you have some sort of, maybe the bounding box as a reference, something like that. In those cases, there may be a way to generate UVs based on something. UVs is nothing more than trying to define for each polygon a certain position on a 2D plane. That's basically what you're doing. If you want, let's say a flat projection, for example. So our flat projection makes a UV. So if you want to see, so let's take this and let's make a material, and let's apply this material using a flat projection. Okay, and you can see here's the projection. Okay, now I'm going to make this editable. And if you go to UV edit, you will see the default. This is the spherical unwrapping of this. But if I take this selected, this is the UV of the flat projection. So yeah, we do generate UVs. It doesn't matter if this is a liquid or it can be anything. We are generating UVs. My question is, what is your expectation of a UV procedural? What would you like it to do? If you tell me that, I'll tell you if it's possible or not. The general, I guess, to wrap this point up, the general concept of procedural UVs means nothing unless we know what is the outcome of that procedural operation is going to be. So I would love to be informed about this, what the expectation is, and see if there's something we can do. Okay. All right. So it's half an hour overrun as usual. It's part of our tradition. I will not go through any other questions. Please, anyone that has that talks to me on X, please post your questions. And some of the questions I showed today came from the forum. Some of them came through personal questions that people sent me. So don't be shy. If I don't have time, I will let you know. I am not a person to feel compelled to reply just because someone asked me. I do reply to everyone, even with no or later or whatnot. So let's quickly don't leave, subscribe and do all that stuff you need to do on the YouTube channel. And I'm trying to find some cool stuff here. And where is that cool stuff? I'm trying to find here. You know, you can go to GitHub and try and find Redshift generally. A very good friend and colleague, Darby Edelin, creates some fantastic OSL shaders and stuff like that. But generally, go on GitHub. There's a ton of OSL shaders for Redshift that will allow you to do amazing stuff. Where's my housekeeping? I've lost my house. Oh, there it is. There you go. I was showing this. So very quickly, go to this link here. It will take you to this page over here. Come on, link. There we go. And it's got all the interesting stuff where you can find stuff and ask your questions. Yeah. Go to the Max and Events page and check out all the cool stuff that friends are doing. Oh, look at this. This is a time trip. We are watching this as it happens. Fantastic. So Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, everything is hosted here after the fact. Maxon YouTube channel, go and watch presentations and great content from friends and colleagues. The videos with the Master Trainer and the creator with Maxon, we stream on multiple channels, but they're only hosted on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel after the fact. Go watch every single video on the Maxon ZBrush channel because not only it's informative, it's awe-inspiring. The talent there is absolutely amazing. And now iPad is available. Sorry, ZBrush is available on the iPad, so you can sculpt and be an artist and even make money from your couch. Go to Cineversity. That's all I have to say about this. And don't forget, go check out EJ's great tutorial about fluids. And I'm just going to paste it one more time here. Good. Excelente. Well, that's all I have for today. Yeah, there's no thunderstorm yet. The weather is holding up still. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. And yeah, stay in touch. Love you all. And now I need to find that button. This is always the end where I need to find that end button. Oh, there it is. And there's a QR code. Go take a snapshot. Toodaloo.